Hey people, this is my weekly rundown of things in entertainment news that interest me, and there's been some big news in the world of DC Comics movie adaptations this week. The biggest thing being that there's been progress on the Justice League movie, which is exciting. The word is that they've hired Will Beall to write a script for Justice League, and Will Beall is best known for his work on the TV series Castle, which I've never watched, so I can't really say anything about his work. But, the announcement of Justice League moving forward is pretty exciting because I think a lot of people have just been waiting for a long time, and I think a few years ago it was looking like, yeah, Justice League, it's happening very soon, and then it just got shut down. So, it's back. I think it's hard to ignore the timing of this, after the Avengers has been so successful. It's not like DC executives were in a vacuum and one day they were like, hey, you know what would be a good idea? Let's combine our superheroes into one movie and call it the Justice League. No. I mean, I feel like I think I've read, stories in the past about DC and Warner and how they had commented with Green Lantern that right now they're just focused on keeping their heroes solo and separate. So it seems like they've had a change of tune now that the Avengers has proven that this sort of thing can be successful. So I'm just hoping that it's not a knee-jerk reaction, that they've seen the massive success of the Avengers and are just like, let's get this Justice League movie out there so we can make a bunch of money. Because Marvel Studios built towards the Avengers carefully. They had 5 movies before that, and everything was planned out. So don't just rush a Justice League movie out, because it's not going to work out for you as well as if you try to plan it carefully. And there are some good signs that they are trying to set up other movies first, because they have hired Michael Goldenberg to write a script for Wonder Woman, which might worry some people, worries me a little bit, because he's the guy that wrote the script for Green Lantern, which was pretty awful. But in terms of Green Lantern, they're also kind of trying to figure out what to do next with that, whether they're going to keep Ryan Reynolds or whether they're going to reboot or whatever. So it does seem like they are paying attention to their solo movie franchises, which is a good thing, because I feel like in a movie like this, which is about the coming together of heroes, you have to have most of them set up in some movie beforehand, or it just feels like, and it doesn't feel as special if you just roll out the Justice League, like, hey, here's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. You know all these characters, but you don't know the movie versions of these characters. I mean, if you just throw in a new Batman after Christian Bale, it's like, I have no attachment to this actor who's playing Batman right now. So I feel like it's definitely a high priority to get another Batman franchise started before the Justice League. But I don't want to get too much into this right now, because I'm kind of working on my ideas for how DC should do their movie universe. So I'll do a video on that eventually. Last week I talked about how Josh Keaton's performance on Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes as Spider-Man was dubbed over by Marvel. They chose to replace him with Drake Bell, who voices the character on Ultimate Spider-Man. And I don't want to talk too much about that in this video, but IGN has a great article on the subject. They were able to talk to Josh Keaton and get his thoughts on it, so definitely check that out. It's pretty interesting. But the one thing I did want to talk about, though, was, now that I found out that Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes is pretty much officially not going to get renewed for a second season, I really don't understand this whole thing at all, because that was the only thing that I thought might be a bright side to this. I thought that if Marvel is trying to bring Drake Bell into Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes and create a connection between that and Ultimate Spider-Man, that might be a sign that they're trying to keep Earth's Mightiest Heroes around. But if they're not doing that, I see no reason why they couldn't have just kept Josh Keaton's performance in there. And IGN noted that it doesn't really do anything for them. I mean, all it does is really kind of tick off people who love Spectacular Spider-Man. It's not like there's an army of Ultimate Spider-Man fans out there who are like, oh no, we want Drake Bell to be Spider-Man in every single Marvel project out there. Or it's not like the kids are going to be so confused, like, oh my gosh, Spider-Man sounds different in this show. What's going on? It just doesn't make sense at all. But, that's that. Whatever. I don't want to harp on that too much. There are two new clips out for The Amazing Spider-Man, one that features Peter Parker talking to Captain Stacy about the Lizard, and another with Gwen Stacey facing the Lizard at what seems like the climax of the movie. I would recommend checking out these clips. I think they're pretty decent, and I don't think they really spoil anything, but if you are one of the people who really wants to limit everything they see about this movie before seeing it, I can understand that. So, watch your own discretion, make your own decision. Apparently, there is a Venom movie on the way, which confuses me a little bit. The report was pretty vague, but it seems like Marvel is interested in making this Venom movie that could potentially be in the same world as The Amazing Spider-Man, which makes sense since Venom is a Spider-Man character. The part that doesn't make sense is that it seems like they're looking to make this Venom movie before they introduce Eddie Brock in the new Spider-Man franchise, which is just idiotic to me because Eddie Brock's origin as Venom is so closely tied into Peter Parker that if you don't do the Venom story through Spider-Man first, it just takes away so much from the character. So I'm a little bit concerned, and I hope that they're not scared to do Venom in a Spider-Man movie due to how poorly received Spider-Man 3 was, because I think the story of Peter Parker and Eddie Brock going head-to-head in the movie and just the whole stalker aspect of that and his singular focus on just ruining Peter Parker's life could be a really cool movie. Maybe there would have to be another villain in it, but I think Venom could definitely carry a movie by himself as a villain. So I'm hoping that they come to their senses, put Venom in a Spider-Man movie first, and then think about the potential for spinning off. I've never read a Venom comic centered on Eddie Brock, but I am reading the current comic book series on Flash Thompson after he has gotten the Venom symbiote, and that's a cool series. I mean, it's completely different than an Eddie Brock Venom story, but Venom as a character, like the whole symbiote and everything, I think is visually interesting, so could potentially be great for a solo Venom movie. But definitely, you have to start off with Eddie Brock in a Spider-Man movie before thinking about spinning off to a Eddie Brock solo movie and then potentially leading to a Flash Thompson Venom movie down the road. But I feel like the Flash Thompson Venom is unlikely. I'll keep my fingers crossed because I think it's an awesome series, but it does seem unlikely that that'll ever happen. There's a new trailer out for Arrow, the Green Arrow TV series. It's about 4 minutes long, as well as this poster here. I'm thinking that this Arrow series looks pretty cool. I'm still not hyped for it or anything, but I'm definitely going to check out the pilot when it comes on. So I'm hoping that this will be a solid show. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is E3 2012, and to be honest, I was a bit underwhelmed by it, especially Nintendo's conference. As a Nintendo fan, I was quite disappointed, and I don't want to go on a rant about that. I think a lot of people have expressed their disappointment in it, so I've included a link in the description to someone who has said basically everything that I feel about it, but to comment briefly on it, I think the two biggest problems with Nintendo's conference were A, that they didn't reveal a major game for Nintendo fans to get excited about, and B, they didn't really prove the power of this console, because everybody's been wondering whether this is going to be a true next generation console or a stopgap that just puts Nintendo on par with the power of the PS3 and the 360. So with the Wii U, they showed that it puts out some good looking games in HD and everything, but it didn't show anything that blows away PS3 and 360 that makes you say, oh yeah, this is definitely the next generation. This console is not going to be underpowered at all when Sony and Microsoft's next generation consoles come out. So I think people are right to be concerned and maybe a little bit skeptical about what Nintendo is going to be doing with this console, because they didn't seize this opportunity to prove it to the consumers that yes, you can pick up this console and you are not going to need anything else if you want to play third-party games. So yeah, that's Nintendo's conference, but there were some other good-looking things about the E3 as a whole. Halo 4 looked good to me, and the game of the conference, in my opinion, was Star Wars 1313. They didn't show that much of it, but it looks awesome to me. I think it was running on a PC, but graphically it looked amazing. It's kind of like the sci-fi version of Uncharted from the looks of it, but it does kind of have its own original feel to it, and you play as this bounty hunter, so it's kind of this darker underworld of Star Wars. It's supposed to be rated M, so it's billed as like the first mature Star Wars game. So I'm excited about it. Hopefully it's a good one. I mean, I think the Force Unleashed games were disappointments. I never played through them, but the hype that was surrounding them before they came out compared to the reception of those games, they didn't really live up to it. So hopefully Star Wars 1313 will live up to the hype that they've generated at this conference, because it does look pretty awesome. But that's really all I've got to say in this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please like, comment, subscribe, and tune in next time.